This is a webinar series based on the ICMR guidelines exclusively for persons with disabilities, and it is a 10 webinar series. I mean, it will be from this is the second of the session, and this will be dealing on the basic guiding principles for healthcare workers and special measures for healthcare delivery institutions dealing with persons with disabilities. So we'll come to the basic guiding principles for healthcare workers to provide care and service to persons with disabilities. I would like to start this session with the opening note of the noted economist Amartya Sen, that disabled people are not only the most deprived human beings in the developing world, they also are the most neglected. The scenario is always the same, even when the situation was not of a pandemic. The persons with disabilities are always marginalized. It is the attitudinal barrier which is always creating hindrance to the persons with disabilities. And in the ICMR study itself, it has been mentioned that even otherwise, only 40% of persons with less than 40% of persons with disabilities are having an access to their healthcare delivery system. And in this COVID pandemic scenario, it has declined to less than 10%. That means a vast majority, more than 90% of persons with disabilities as of now are not able to access the healthcare facilities to the optimal level. So this is the real scenario which we are facing. So a lot of inputs with regard to what has to be done by healthcare workers as well as healthcare institutions in catering to the needs of persons with disabilities in this COVID pandemic scenario is of much importance. So the basic principles for care. The following principles must be kept in mind while providing health services. Many of these are self-explanatory and many of them are very simple, which may not be needing further explanation. Whichever requires explanation, I'll just explain and go. So one, naturally use the person's first language as much as possible. This makes him very much comfortable. It's a known fact. Then respect the dignity of the person and foster their autonomy and their agency. So this is also very important. Many a time all the healthcare workers, we know they are under much pressure, much their workload has increased tremendously. So at each and every moment they are in the pressure for work. So many a time they tend to overlook the etiquettes or the basic requirements with regard to persons with disabilities to safeguard their autonomy, their self-respect and all. But these trivial things are of vital importance as well. So individualize the needs of person with disability. A disability is a heterogeneous and impairments cannot be typecasted. So each and every person with disability is unique. You cannot just typecast the entire person with disability in a single label. So the key things would be patience, understanding, and respect. People with disabilities may need repeated explanations in ways they can comprehend and understand. So, persons with disabilities may need repeated explanations. For example, if you are explaining some health condition to a child with autism or an adult having a psychiatric illness, definitely you will have to spend more time to make these points comprehensible to him. So that idea you should have in your mind, especially healthcare professionals when dealing with persons with disabilities. Next slide, please. And next is right to access treatment. No person with disability will be left out of any health and allied services, assessment, diagnosis, treatment, care, and rehabilitation. This right has been attributed to them by the Act itself, right? RPWD Act 2016 very much emphasizes. So this is a basic right, constitutional right of each and every individual in this earth. So one cannot deny the right to access a treatment or any accessory facility by virtue of his disability. Inclusion. Ensure that persons with all forms of disability are included in the planning, organization, coordination, implementation, and evaluation of health services. And persons with disability and or their caregivers could be invited as representatives on task and planning groups. These are very subtle points which usually the so-called normal majority tends to overlook, because unless and until we ourselves are very much aware and have an empathetic thought regarding the specific needs and requirements of persons with disabilities, we will never incorporate such changes or such amendments in the planning or in the execution part. Say, for example, if you are planning for a makeshift corona care facility, definitely the universal access should be there in the mind of the authorities when you are constructing such a facility. So it should be universally accessible. Unless and until we are aware enough and we are sensitive enough, we will not include this sort of facilities in any of the facilities which we will be envisaging. So for that, we will have to include persons with disabilities or their caregivers in all such planning and implementation process, especially with regard to the current pandemic scenario. Language inclusion to transcend stigma and discrimination. Please put the person or the human being rather before the impairment or disability and refer to them by their name. Again, we all know healthcare professionals or rehab professionals sorry, are under much pressure of work and their workload has tremendously increased. So majority of the time you will be exposed with a lot of persons waiting for your service, and a majority of the time you may not be in a position to address their dignity, especially for persons with disabilities. So you may simply tend to address, please call that blind person standing there. But that should not be the way. You should always be empathetic. Try to address by that, Mr. Raju, please come. That makes a huge difference. So please put the person or the human being before the environment and try to refer to them by their name as much as possible. Please do not refer to person by their impairment, but respectfully by name. Please use words such as wheelchair user instead of wheelchair bound, or a person with visual impairment or hearing or speech impairment, instead of calling him very bluntly, that blind person, that dumb person. If it is in Malayalam, if you are telling, pottanengu vilikku, means that is so derogatory a comment. Instead, if you are telling that, so please call that person with visual impairment who is standing there. That makes a huge difference. So these are subtle things, but we should be, especially people in the healthcare field and rehabilitation field, should always be aware of. And do not assume that the person with the disability will not comprehend health related information. Also, do not overload a person with information relevant to their health. So many of them may be very much abreast regarding the changes happening with regard to the corona pandemic scenario there. They may be updating and abrushing their information regarding. So they may be having an updated information regarding the corona scenario in general and to their health related knowledge particularly. So we should not assume that persons with disabilities will not be comprehending their health related information. Also, on the contrary, it is important not to overload a person with information relevant to their health. So to maintain the optimal level is very important. Make sure to share details with them in ways they can comprehend. This again is important because to make a person with hearing impairment comprehend something is different from how you make a person with visual impairment comprehend the same information. So the medium change, the mode of communication change. So you have to be sensitive and sensible enough in communicating with persons with disabilities. Use the principle of inclusion in all your transactions with and about persons with disabilities. Do not treat them as if they are simply invisible. So many a time you simply tend to overlook the person with a disability. But please understand that it is not a person with disability, it's a human being, just like you and me who is sitting there. So that respect, that dignity has to be bestowed on each and every moment we are interacting with the person with disability. During home visits, please talk respectfully to persons with disabilities and ascertain their health concerns using simple language. This language of communication is very important. Please don't use any technical jargons. Please don't use any complex sentences like that. But have use a very simple language, and it should be well conveying. Amid a heavy workload, please remember that the person is more important than the impairment, and hence, please discern the tendency to be biased about the gender, caste, class, disability, sexual orientation, and age. This may seem to be very trivial, but this is very important. As I said, majority of the time, our healthcare workers are overloaded, so they always are in a pressure. So, and at time, a lot of bias can just creep in, and that will reflect in your attitude towards the person. The way you deal a wealthy, healthy person, and the way you may be dealing a very poor person with disability standing. So the basic approach itself to persons may, I'm not telling that it always happens, at least at times it may happen. So you should be very particular enough to be sure that you don't have any bias regarding their gender, caste, class, disability, sexual orientation, or disability status, or even age, whatever. They should be given access to treatment. Please pay attention to the gender specific needs of persons with disability concerning the impairment as well as health concern. This especially becomes important when you go through the example. If it is a woman or an adolescent or a child with disability, and if the child is being presented with some related psychological issue or some exacerbation of the pre-existing mental health condition or some other disability, definitely the doctor or the health worker should try to probe or explore any possibility of some related abuse or violence which has been happening to the kid or to the concerned person. So this also is very important. Coming to the assessment and investigations, ensure that all assessment procedures and investigations are provided at one place so that the person with mobility impairments is not made to move around too much in the hospital. Again, these are all very practical tips. Only when you are confronting with such a scenario, you will know the importance of these precautionary measures. So if an institution, a healthcare institution, is arranging their all the assessment equipments and infrastructure, and the infrastructure for investigations in such a manner that it is very easily accessible from one door to the other, and in a single go if it can be done, and if it has got a universal design, a barrier free design, which is easily accessible for a person in a wheelchair and even a blind person, whatever. So in if that these things are envisaged in such a manner as a single go, then it will be very accessible for a person with disability to access the assessment and investigation procedures. Also, provide clear instructions to the persons with impairment and the caregiver regarding the assessment procedure. This also is important. Just make them aware what is going to happen. See, you are having this condition, so we are going to do this investigation, and this will take this much time, and this is the procedure involved, and this much time you will have to wait, and by this time you can leave. For example, so if this clarity is being provided both for the person with disability as well as the caregiver, then it will be much relaxing and comfortable for the person concerned. Explain investigation procedures in a simple clear language so that they understand and use sign language, and use sign language when appropriate. If you do not know sign language, seek the help of a caregiver. This again, in specific instances, is very important, because you are dealing with a person who cannot comprehend what you are saying. He is having hearing impairment, and he is only used to sign language. So it's not possible for each and every health worker to learn the depths of sign language. It is good if you can understand even at least the basics, so that you can have some basic communication, or if required you can utilize the service of a sign language interpreter. So you will have to make arrangements for the availability of such a person if required. Unless and until you think of such a scenario, you will never make arrangements for this makeshift arrangements. So only when a person with such an impairment comes to you, you will be landing up in trouble. Similarly, the person with disability will also be in trouble, because you simply cannot get across your idea or what you want to communicate. You will be having that great barrier between you. So at least you should think of such possibilities and make necessary arrangements to arrange such person and sign language interpreter if required, or else you can seek the help of the caregiver if he is there with you. Then persons with a disability might need more time for assessment and investigation. Please give the time, as it is their right to access this service. This again is very important. Again, from our CRC case own experience, I can tell another not related to the corona even, but a related one. We all know we all are having Aadhaar card with us, our basic identity card. But most majority of persons having severe disability are yet not in possession of the Aadhaar card. Why? Because the difficulty in transportation, the time, the additional time which they are taking to avail the service from the Akshaya e-centers. So people become very irritable. They don't tend to cooperate. So as a result, simply they are not in possession of the other cards, many of the severely disabled. Similarly, in this situation also, in this corona pandemic situation also, maybe they'll find it more difficult to access the treatment. They will take their own time. A person with mobility issues, a locomotor disability, he will take more time to walk and come and sit to you. And if you just become irritable because of the added time being taken by him, it's not gonna help you. And again, he will cut a sorry figure, and he will not be able to access the service to the fullest. So we should be very empathetic. It's not that we show sympathy, but we should be empathetic. We should be able to understand the person with disability as who he is, and we have to accept the fact, and with all respect and dignity deal with the person with disability. And coming to the treatment and medication, please ensure that treatment options are disabled friendly. So maybe the frequency, if it is an injection, the frequency of injection or the duration of hospitalization, whether one can shift his treatment protocol in such a manner that he can be better maintained and sent off, discharged off in an earlier time. So that sort of uh, disabled friendly options in treatment, if possible, can be thought of. Please ensure a feasible follow-up and action plan that can be monitored from home rather than hospital-based services only. That was what I was explaining previously. So think of the possibilities, think of how the treatment things and follow-up schedules can be tailored in such a manner that the person with disability is having more accessibility and is comfortable with. Please ensure that medications specific to various disabilities are available. Say, for instance, specific psychiatric medicines. This point is very important, especially in this corona pandemic scenario, because we know in majority of the cases of psychiatric illness, especially major psychiatric illnesses like schizophrenia or bipolar affective disorders, we know that medications are the mainstay of treatment. Once this the drug compliance is poor, then he can tend for a relapse of the symptoms. And usually only in specialty hospitals or in specialized centers we get all the array of antipsychotics or the mood stabilizers or the related medicines. Only because of the inaccessibility to or non-availability of medication, a psychiatric patient may simply go into a relapse or exacerbation of symptoms. But if a primary healthcare center or a healthcare facility in the primary level, a family healthcare center, is equipping themselves with adequate medicines, including psychiatric medications, just because of that reason, you may be able to prevent the relapse of a psychiatric patient. So, in this given scenario, such healthcare institutions, they should see that they are taking necessary precaution in equipping them with all such medications. Similarly, a lot of studies are there saying that anxiety, depressive symptoms, post-traumatic stress disorders, adjustment disorders, a lot of such other related issues are seen even in the general population. So medications like anxiolytics, etc., if is being stored and saved by such institutions, this will go a long way in helping persons with such psychological distress also. Then mobility and accessibility. Please ensure that the health service is made accessible for all types of impairments by following the principles of universal design, even in a makeshift healthcare center. This should be underlined because, as I said previously, unless and until we are aware of these facts, we will simply tend to ignore and overlook, so that we never make an arrangement for universal design. Suppose, say for example, you are setting up a first line corona treatment center in a small given facility. Maybe the access to the main door is having 2 or 3 steps. If we don't think of the disabled population, we will never make arrangements for a ramp just adjacent to the stairs. Only when a person in the wheelchair comes in front of you, you will see that, I didn't do any arrangement for him. And then we will have to run around and the person will be in trouble. So you should, in whatever planning you are making, even if it is for a makeshift healthcare center arrangement, definitely see to it that this universal design pattern is being followed. Please ensure that signboards, makeshift signposts, are in place for people to read and access in the local languages too. Again, these signboards, maybe Government of India is issuing a lot of advisories. Maybe we can take a printout of that. If it is in Hindi language, maybe a person in another in Kerala who is a Malayali, who is not able to follow Hindi, may not be able to read that. So as much as possible, make such things available in the local language too. For persons with visual impairment, instructions may be given as soon as they enter the healthcare center if braille instructions are not available. So again, these are all subtle things, but these are of cardinal importance. Unless and until we ensure this facility is there, nothing is going to happen. And when a person with the visual impairment comes to you, he will be in trouble, you will be in trouble, and you are exposing the person with disability to the risk of corona in a manifold manner, because he is already in a facility where the risk of chance of spread of infection is more, because being a healthcare institution itself increases the risk. Because maybe say for example, if the person is coming to a laboratory, maybe the chance by virtue of that itself increases. So we should be very clear with regard to this point. And even if you are using a braille instruction, ensure that it is being periodically sanitized. And please ensure that extra precautions for personal hygiene and assistance are provided. Please ensure that sanitizers are provided for aids and appliances, especially for prosthetics. These 2 points again are important. Say, for example, extra precaution for personal hygiene. A person, an adult with severe mental retardation is coming to you. So he doesn't even know the significance of social distancing. He has not comprehended what is meant by hand sanitization. So if that is the scenario, you will have to be extra cautious in dealing with such a person and making him aware what is to be done, and you ensure that it is being done, the personal hygiene measures are being done. Similarly, the prosthetics, especially say for example again a wheelchair or some prosthetic limb and all, again only because of that reason the chance for exposure increases, because we all know the coronavirus can stay alive in such metallic or plastic surfaces up to 3 to 4 days, many studies are saying. So if you don't properly sanitize these prosthetic equipments, including for example wheelchair, the flyer of the wheelchair will be constantly used by the person with disability for his mobility. That ring he will be constantly pushing for mobility. Similarly, the caregiver, he will be pushing using the handrail. So all these areas are much prone for this infection. So you should be double sure that you are sanitizing or disinfecting these prosthetic things also in a proper manner. Then please ensure that continuum of care from diagnosis to hospital to rehabilitation to home is provided for people with disabilities too. As I said, that your clear plan of action right from the time when the person is brought to a treatment center, whether if he is in need of some investigation, some blood test, then the way how you will be doing, how your safety is being ensured, how your mobility is being ensured. If it is for a hospitalization, how many days it is expected, when will be the discharge, and post discharge how you can return home, what are the precautions to be taken at home, what are the rehabilitation measures which has to be done later. If all these things are very well planned and very well conveyed and clearly conveyed in a simple language, both to the person with disability as well as his caregiver, then the things will be very clear for them so that they can plan accordingly. Please ensure that persons with disabilities have easy and ready access to insurance coverage and government health schemes. This is another area which we need to bestow our attention, because majority of the time persons with disabilities may not be aware of such facilities, even especially people coming from rural areas, from low socioeconomic status, with inadequate exposure to the events happening around. They may not be aware of the various insurance coverage facilities which may be available, or even government health schemes specifically meant for persons with disabilities. I am telling this from our CRCK experience even, because we do come across persons with disabilities even now, especially from low socioeconomic status, who are not aware of the various schemes and projects of government of Kerala exclusively meant for them. Especially in this corona pandemic scenario, where there is a larger level of anxiety, uncertainty and all, this sort of information we need to provide to them. And it is the healthcare facility or the rehabilitation center where such persons with disability come to you directly for a help. So you should be equipped with such sort of knowledge and information, and you should be able to impart to them that, see, this sort of insurance coverage measures are there, this sort of government health schemes are there exclusively for you, these are the things to be done, so make use of that. So like that, you should be able to enlighten them in this regard. Then communication with persons with disabilities and their caregivers. Please ensure that when speaking to a person with hearing impairment, you face the person and communicate, especially if the person communicates using oral methods. Again, simple, trivial, but important. You face the person and talk in such a manner that he can comprehend. Facing the person and talking through a transparent mask allows for ease of lip reading. How many of us might have thought of this point previously? Especially we, sorry, especially we being in the rehabilitation or the healthcare profession, we can come across with persons with disabilities frequently. Of course, persons with hearing impairment also will come to us. But have we thought of this measure, like using a transparent mask? Maybe some are doing, I'm not telling that no one is doing, but this is important. If a transparent mask is available, if you are talking to a person who is used to lip reading, there will not be a barrier for him to understand what we are speaking, and he can very well understand our emotion, our facial expressions also. So this is very important. So if a healthcare worker or a rehabilitation professional who is more exposed to persons with hearing impairment, then he or she should definitely think of using this sort of transparent mask instead of other mask. Also, please talk slowly so that information can be assimilated with ease. So we know that we are all in a hurry because the workload is so high. We have a lot of things to be done within this given period of time. So we tend to rush through. But if we are rushing through, many of the communication or many of the messages in the communication are simply lost there. So maybe you will be utilizing a couple of minutes extra, but the clarity of communication increases manifold. So please talk slowly so that information can be assimilated, and ensure that he or she has understood what you are telling. You can stop in between and you can ask, have you understood what I have told? So far, whatever is being told, is it comprehensible? Do you have any doubts regarding what I have told to you till now? Like that, you can ask the client and ensure that the person with disability has understood clearly what you had meant to communicate. Encourage persons with disabilities to talk about their health concerns rather than addressing their caregivers alone. When they talk, they experience being acknowledged. Again, very important. We tend to talk to the caregiver because for us, he is a better normal person, in double inverted, than a person with disability. So we can very well convey all the things in a very rushed manner, telling that these are the things. So just ensure that the person with disability is doing all those things, and the person with disability is sitting just in front of you, and you are not even looking into his eyes, you are not even addressing a single word to the person with disability, and the person with disability will be feeling a high sense of dejection, which we cannot even understand. So when we talk to them directly, at least partly these things are, if you're directly addressing to them, they experience being acknowledged. That is important. Please ensure that there are captions for people to follow while imparting informations. Ensure that information is disseminated in a diverse yet inclusive manner. So this inclusive manner is very important. For example, the use of multiple forms of communication such as braille, pamphlets, audio material, etc., to ensure that no one is left behind. So if it is for visual impairment, you are having that braille communication or audio prompts, then to a great extent that hindrance is being just, we are negating that hindrance. Similarly, for each disability, we need to negate those hindrances. So multiple modes of communication, of information dissemination is very important. While offering telemedicine services, please ensure that the medium of communication is accessible to the person with disability too. Because now this telemedicine services is attaining huge importance. As of now, this is becoming the new normal. At least we know till this corona pandemic is over, we are left with no other priority than dealing in telemedicine mode of therapies. Because, and we also know that these all are this is going to be here for quite some time, this coronavirus. So we have to consider this as the new normal, at least for few months to come. So this telemedicine services is important, and you do it in the right manner is also very important. So while offering telemedicine services, please ensure that the medium of communication is accessible to the person with disability. For example, send a voice recording to a person with visual impairment and text message to a person with hearing impairment. So these are very simple, subtle things. But if you just bestow the attention, you can address to their needs in a much effective manner. And please use people's first language always, as that point has been mentioned already. Always communicate with them directly as much as possible. As I said, it is easy for us just to give the instruction to the caregiver and tell that, okay, convey and go. But if you are taking maybe a couple of minutes more, but if you're directly conveying the messages to the person with disability, means that means a lot more to the person with disability. Refrain from talking about them or discussing their case with colleagues or caregivers in their presence. This is another important thing which many a time healthcare professionals tend to do, ignoring the presence of the person with disability, or they maybe some important or some interesting finding is there. So they just tend to discuss again, they simply make this person with disability invisible, or he just simply overlooks the person with disability as if he is not existing there. But just think of the trauma, of the psychological trauma which will be imparted to the person. So always refrain from talking about them or discussing their case with colleagues or caregivers in the presence of the PWD. Then coming to the special measures for healthcare delivery institutions dealing with persons with disabilities. So far we were discussing regarding healthcare workers when they are a doctor or a paramedical staff or a rehabilitation professional, when personally interacting with person with disability, what all things we have to do. Now coming to the healthcare delivery institutions per se. So it is critical to maintain healthcare services during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. There is no doubt in that. Healthcare services has to continue, and in fact, healthcare services is the most important service which is being done during this pandemic period. And all hospitals should be prepared for the possible arrival of persons with disabilities with COVID-19. This is a reality which we have to accept because we know, science says, history says that any pandemic for that matter will be there with us for quite some time, and a herd immunity of up to 60 to 70 percentage is required for the pandemic to lose its transmissibility. That is, the RO should become less than 1, the transmissibility rate has to become less than 1. And that happens only when up to 60 to 70 percentage of the population develops an antibody against this virus. This development of the antibody can either be through a vaccine or through natural means, whereby more and more people are getting infected, and gradually the transmissibility declines because majority of the population, at least 60 to 70 percentage of the population, are developing antibody against this virus. So we are all expecting a vaccine to be released at the earliest, but even then we have the efficacy concern, the safety concern, the mass production concern. So even if you are circumventing all these concerns, it will take many months for a mass production and mass delivery of the vaccines. Till then, we are at the risk of contamination, or else we will have to wait till the population is attaining the 60 to 70 percentage of antibodies through herd immunity. So the bottom line is that many people will be affected with coronavirus, and a proportion of them will be persons with disabilities. There is no other go, there is no escape. So only thing left behind is to plan and prepare accordingly in advance. So all hospitals should be prepared for possible arrival of the persons with disabilities with corona. In the near future, the number will naturally increase. Every hospital should ensure their infrastructure is accessible and the staff is trained, equipped, and capable of practices needed to serve the persons with disabilities. So healthcare facilities for PWDs shall follow all the standard guidelines for COVID-19 cases. There is no doubt in that. Only because a person is having some disability, that does not mean that there can be any relaxation in the COVID-19 norms. No. Ensure priority testing for persons with disabilities with presenting symptoms. So that is very important. Priority need to be given to the marginalized sector, not just persons with disabilities, persons in the geriatric age group and other marginalized sector also need to be given priority for all corona care services. Customizable masks should be provided to all persons with disabilities and families for their protection. So even if they are presenting without a mask or any standard precautionary measure, the institution should be able to provide them with all these personal measures, so that we should be equipped with all such protective measures. Accessible barrier-free washing areas for frequent hand washing shall be made available to the persons with disabilities. So it's not just for the routine persons, but also for persons with disabilities. This accessibility should be ensured. Maybe you are having a washroom there, but maybe the level, there will be some level difference between the ground and the bathroom. If so, a person on wheelchair will not be able to access, will not be able to negotiate further that door, or maybe some crossbar will be there in the floor. That again poses a hindrance. So very trivial things, everything should be taken into account. Maybe the height of the tap for a wheelchair bound person, the length should be, the height from the ground should be less. So these are all very trivial things, but we have to bestow attention to each and every point. There are universal design recommendations for all these things, universal accessibility recommendations. All such healthcare institutions should go through all these recommendations and ensure that this is being replicated in their institution. It is not much a costly affair, but it is an affair which requires empathy, and we should be able to understand that these requirements are of primordial importance for a person with disability. Maybe simply he cannot access the toilet because the level, there is a minimum 10 centimeter level difference between the bathroom and the corridor. He's stuck there. So that sensitivity these institutions should be having, especially in the wake of this corona pandemic, for the personal hygiene and protective measure facilities. Then accessible barrier-free wash area for frequent, that I told. Designated accessible entry and exit could be provided to PWDs at hospitals. This is one thing which can be thought of. A separate entrance and exit for persons with disabilities. On either way, it will be good. A person, say for example, on wheelchair, he will take his own time to access, to negotiate the entrance. So it will be a risky affair both for him as well as for the others. So if a separate entrance is there, it will be risk free, or it will be lesser risky. So such things should be thought whenever possible to be implemented. So designated accessible entry and exit could be provided for persons with disabilities at home, at hospitals. The accessible indoor and outdoor facility shall be sanitized regularly, and technology like infrared or UV may be used to sanitize the hospital areas earmarked for persons with disabilities. Again, this is to be ensured that it is being done. This periodic sanitization of the hand knobs, hand rails, and all, especially used by persons with disabilities, is important, because the chance for containment of or the spread of disease is more in a person with disability owing to his disability compared to the normal population. So these measures are of cardinal importance. Then separate accessible parking areas and counters, waiting areas in hospital could be created. These parking areas and all are even envisaged in the RPWD Act, and it is being already followed by majority of the buildings and institutions. But we should be very particular in the given scenario that all these things are being implemented. Separate parking area, and even if it is a counter, if a separate area can be earmarked for them, it is not discrimination, with equality, dignity, and respect only. But if an area is earmarked for them, that would be far more accessible and easy for both them as well as the others. All other services should be provided with due care of social distancing. Their assistive devices like wheelchairs and mobility aids should be sanitized, and they should have constant access to wiping towels and other forms of disposable wipes that I have mentioned earlier as well. The importance of maintaining cleanliness of the assistive device in this period is very, very important. Then designated help desks and interpreters should be available at hospitals to guide a person with visual impairment and speech and hearing impairments. This for large hospitals, this is very important. Even otherwise, this was important, but in a non-pandemic scenario, maybe we could afford to not non-compliance to an extent. But in the given scenario, this care and attention is furthermore important. We cannot keep waiting a person with disability in the lobby, in the reception area, just for want of proper communication, just due to some confusion in the communication. If you are just making the person wait in a wheelchair for 2 or 3 hours, there means we are doing injustice. It's a criminal injustice which we are doing to the person with disability. So if an interpreter is required, the institution should be able to provide the interpreter without delay. At least the institution should make arrangement and see to it that an interpreter will be available for a person with a hearing impairment without loss of time. So these measures should be ensured by all healthcare facility system, be it a hospital, be it a laboratory, be it other rehabilitation institution. But these precautionary measures and has to be ensured. Also, educate the PWD's caregiver about the general precautionary measures. Maybe they all will be aware, but still you will have to educate them. And also you will have to give them proper, even the person with disability, proper guidance, because he is coming to you for the first time and you are there, you know the significance. And if you feel that the person with disability is not well aware of the things, then you can at least spend few minutes more in making him aware this is the scenario, so you should be careful, these are the precautionary measures and things like that. All information about COVID-19 services offered and precautions to be taken should be available in simple local language in accessible formats. That is in braille and audible tapes for persons with visual impairment, videographic material with subtitles and sign language interpretation for persons with hearing impairment, and through other accessible websites. So this point I had explained previously as well. Then sign language interpreters who work in emergency and healthcare settings should be given the same health and safety protection as other healthcare workers dealing with COVID-19. This point ICMR has clearly categorically stated in their document. So this is something which need to be pushed. Sign language interpreters should be given the same safety precaution as of other healthcare workers, because they are exposed to more risk. Healthcare workers should routinely inquire and provide treatment if necessary for pre-existing medical and mental illness. This is also important. Naturally, in any medical setup, the past history, the treatment history, everything will be elicited. But in this given scenario, it should be made double sure that any pre-existing medical illness or mental illness is being elicited and given proper treatment is ensured. Then caregivers of persons with disabilities should be allowed to reach them by being exempted from restrictions during a lockdown or providing passes in a simplified manner or priority. This again is self-explanatory and it's required. So the concerned authorities or the government need to bestow attention regarding these aspects. Consider establishing opening hours, giving priority to persons with disabilities and their assistants during hospitalization. This is another thing which can be practiced by majority of the healthcare institutions. Say, for example, a laboratory, a corona testing center, they can very well keep time, say 1 hour, or say from 11 a.m. to 12. This will be exclusively for persons with disabilities. And a majority of the time, all these people are coming with prefixed appointments only. So you can very well give appointment to such persons in specific times, so that not just for persons with disabilities, for other vulnerable group as well. So say for elderly geriatric population, this measure can be implemented. Only thing is that we need to have a proper planning for this. Each institution can implement this in a very effective manner. While delivering telehealth services, we need to provide telephone consultations, text messaging, and video conferencing for the delivery of healthcare and psychosocial support for persons with disabilities. Because, as I said, these telehealth measures are the new normal for this pandemic scenario. This may be for their general health and include rehabilitation needs, and where appropriate, even for COVID-19 related needs, we can adhere to as much as tele counseling, teletherapy, telemedicine mode of consultations, and even text message, video conferencing, because a lot of practical tips we can, practical aspects we can incorporate. We can send videos in the WhatsApp or symbol messages. A lot of other technological options can also be uh, used. Hospitals should prohibit the denial of treatment and based on disability, level of support and needs, quality of life assessment, or any other forms of medical bias against PWDs, including for allocation of scarce resources such as ventilators and intensive care, etc. This aspect is again a major area of debate and discussion. We cannot just deny a person, uh, or we cannot just have a bias based on his disability. There is a scarcity of ventilator, and you are given with a choice whom to select. So the disability should not be a negative aspect for just ignoring him from the service. One ventilator, two persons are there, and one is a disabled person, then his disability should not be the reason for excluding him from giving that ventilator service. Identify and remove barriers to treatment, including ensuring accessible environment. That includes all environment, including hospital, testing, quarantine facilities, and all, as well as the availability and dissemination of health information and communications in accessible modes and format is important. So, to sum up, there is a checklist which can be used by hospitals. These are all standard guidelines and recommendations issued by ICMR. So this is very authentic. One, the checklist which ICMR is proposing is that establishment of a core team and key internal and external contact points, human, material, and facility capacity. All the points we had discussed in detail in the presentation. Then communication and data protection, hand hygiene, personal protective equipments. It just doesn't mean the PPE kit alone. Mask, sanitizer, everything comes part of this personal protective equipment, and waste management. Then triage, first contact, and prioritization of persons with disabilities in healthcare institutions as well as in allied healthcare service institutions. Patient placement, moving of patients in the facility, visitor access, and accessibility facilities. So this universal access is one thing which each and every institution related to health and rehabilitation for persons with disabilities, that has to be made their priority. It is not much of a deal. Only thing is that we should be aware of, and we should be keen enough that we are implementing all these facilities, even if it is for a temporary makeshift arrangement for corona care. Then of course environmental cleaning and all other cleanliness measures need to be ensured. So that brings to the end of the session. And as I said previously, this is based on the ICMR guidelines exclusively for persons with disabilities. In this webinar series, 10 topics are being envisaged, and this is the second in the series. From next Monday onwards, we will be having the third topic, fourth, like that. And okay, in one chat has been asked, how can we attend your future webinars? So that's what I'm explaining. So from Monday to Friday, same time, 2 to 3, afternoon 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, this webinar series will be continuing. So today it was healthcare related. So tomorrow, and the in the groups and all, the topics will be shared. Exclusive topics regarding to the mental health of persons with disabilities, then the persons with persons with disabilities in the geriatric population, adult population, disability research. Every aspect will be covered in one session each, and these are all the guidelines provided by the ICMR. And why I thought to make this as a detailed webinar of 10 sessions is that because we, the people in this profession, in rehabilitation and in the health service, are bound to know all these things, and we alone are responsible for this group of persons with disabilities, who Amartya Sen has rightly pointed out are the most neglected and the most denied of all population. So this is a very challenging phase. Even Otherwise, normal population are in chaos, they are in anxiety, they are in worry, depression. So it is our responsibility to handhold the persons with disabilities. For that, we are to be equipped with the latest informations. So whatever has been put forth by ICMR and other authentic bodies, we need to discuss.